Okay, welcome back to Fab and Adventures, guys. This episode and this series is all about the Super Trooper. We're going to be building the Trooper here into an overland vehicle. I got a few plans for it, like the Tube Winch Bumper to house a 12,000 pound winch, possibly build a roof rack, a rear drawer system. We're going to do a dual battery system here. I got a little battery isolator here, so it charges this battery separate and keeps your accessory power separate from your main starting battery. We'll just keep the starting battery just for starting. I bought it a couple months back with the plans of turning it into an overland vehicle. And since then, before I really started doing videos, I put a 2-inch lift in. I got some coil springs off Amazon, cut them a little bit, stuck them in there. It lifted about 2.5 inches. We got some really weak torsion bars on this. I've cranked them up already about as much as I can. We'll have to do a ball joint reversal to get the tires to come back out, because once you lift it, your tires go out. So you take the ball joints and put them to the other side of the A-arm, and that'll return that caster back to normal. And I mean, it's already got a limited slip in it. It's got a 175 horsepower V6, all aluminum V6 motor in it. It's not super powerful, especially with these bigger tires on. These bigger tires came from my work truck. When I sold my old work truck, I kept the tires on and I stabbed them on here. They're just about 32.5 inch tall tire. The interior in this thing is awesome. Everything works. Heated seats, power folding mirrors, heated mirrors. I mean, it's pretty loaded. It's quite the plush little thing. The seats don't have a rip in it. It's in really great shape inside. Windows, glass, everything's all good. So I think it should make a pretty capable little overland rig. Limited slip in the rear and a winch up front and some max tracks. I think it should be fairly capable and take us where we need to go to do some camping and some exploring, to pull my jet boat, go out, do some gold panning this summer. I'll show you guys some of that stuff. So let's hope this virus stuff settles down and we can all get back outdoors and enjoy our life and our lifestyle. And everything will be golden once again. So let's get after this build. Let's get this bumper done. So the first thing we got to do is make this bumper disappear. And with the magic of modern video equipment, and there it's off. Simple as that. Gotta love the magic of video. So there's not a whole lot that holds these bumpers on. It was a pain in the butt to get off. But I mean, this stuff here is pretty flimsy. There's definitely not going to be just cut, stick it in, weld. There's going to be a little bit of design thought in this bad boy. I think I want to bring my bar, I'm going to wrap my bar around, come through here and around. I might end up cutting this stuff off. And then I'm going to probably bring another bar in down at an angle here. Or maybe I'll come through here and then I'll come down here or something and into this plate idea here. It's going to be different. I've never done a tube bumper before, so let's see how this turns out. Okay, so what I've done is I've taken the original bumper mounts off. I built these just to stick on there for now. They get mounted there, mounted there. I might raise them up a little bit. Then there will be a big 1/4 inch plate that goes across, a couple of gussets that come down to the frame here, and that's where the winch will get mounted, and then we'll build the tube bumper around that. So let's put her on. All right, that'll be a lot more solid than the stock 1/8 inch plate. So I've cut this down to 38 1/16 wide. Now I'm going to cut it 7 inches for the winch. The winch needs at least 6 inches for the base, so I'm going to give it a little extra, 7 inches, and we're going to cut this off. First you got to turn the plasma on. Okay, so here we got the plates mounted to the frame, the basic plate for the winch mount. And I've been tossing the idea of raising this plate a couple of inches to bring the winch up higher, just under the grill. So the winch is gonna come up, so the top of the winch will be sitting up about here. But I think the more I raise my winch, and then you are in a really stuck position and you pull on that really hard, I think what that's gonna give it is more leverage to torque down on these mounts and the mount that I'm gonna put in the middle. So I think it's probably better strength-wise for me to keep it down as low and in line with the frame, so that we don't have any extra, we're not adding any extra torque to twisting on this mount here. So we are going to basically bring this plate out to the edge here, throw a bunch of tacks on it, and then we're gonna figure out our center mount, because this has got a little bow to it, so I wanna bring it up and I wanna have one more brace off the center. And that should be that. And then we have our base to work our tube bumper off of. And we'll have our baseline to mount our tube bumper off of. And then it will all come off as one unit. I probably will have it all come apart as one unit rather than the tube bumper come apart from this winch base, but we'll see how she goes. Throw a couple of big tacks on here, and then she should be good. We'll just throw a few welds in this just to hold it where I want it so it doesn't move around. Then I got good consistent points to measure off of. As long as this doesn't move, everything should be good. Okay, so there's the initial shape of the bumper. Looks like it worked out pretty good. Everything's pretty even. Just this bracket here was an 1/8 inch lower than that bracket, so I just put an 1/8 inch shim in there, and she looks pretty darn even. There's no twists, no warps. It's about the same distance from the fender flare here, to the pipe as it is the fender flare there to the pipe. Everything looks nice and even and symmetrical. I think that's good. We can cut off the ends where we want them, and then maybe I'll just tack it so it stays in place, and we should be good. So I'll just mark an imaginary line coming down here. Something like that is where we want to cut that, and then I'll do the same thing on the other side. So what we're building here is the hoop, the front hoop. It's gonna come from the frame up past the front of the winch plate, and then it's going to go up and come across. And I'm shooting for a 30 inch outside to outside of this, that way it's inside the headlights, and like it'll be like this, go down, and then those ends will get bent down and they'll go under the winch plate to the frame mount. So you need, it's 8 inches from where I set the die on this line, this corner of the die to this line. And so it's 8 inches here. So that's how you got to figure out if you want 8 plus 8 is 16 and you want 30, then this distance here's got to be 15. So let's hope I'm right. Let's bend this bad boy. about 90. Let's check our work. She's pretty close there. Okay, so after a ton of measuring, cutting, bending, all that, I've come up with this here idea, and I just need to lift this side up just a hair, tack weld it in place, and I'm probably going to push it in just a little bit, and then I'll weld a couple of bars across here and here. So I'm just gonna bring this up a little bit, tack it, bend it in, where I like it, leaning out so far. It's leaning out just a little bit. I want it a little more straight up and down. And then I'll weld it good and solid, and we'll keep more pieces. This is taking way longer than I thought. So here's a quick little lesson on how to do this coping without hole saw cutters. So first thing you gotta do is establish a center line, and this one's actually offset from this one, so it's gonna be a little difficult to explain, but we got our center line here. And what you wanna do is come in 1/3 of the pipe diameter. So in this case, we're about 5/8 of an inch. Measure 5/8 all the way around. And then what I do is I just kind of hand draw from this point down to there. It's not real rocket science or anything like that, but it works pretty good. Then you just take your disc grinder, zip, and cut those off, blend these in, and you're done. Then you just give her a little turn and blend these in. And there you are. Perfectly blended, as you can see. Nice proper bird mouth, next to no gap. That's what you want. And we just bring it over here, and when they're done right, they just drop right in. Just gotta set it, make sure it's square with everything, make sure it's level this way, and weld it in. I'd say it looks pretty darn good right there. Okay, now so the next bar I'm putting on is this one here I made. It's like a doubler, and it's gonna go right underneath there and get welded right in there. So it's gonna look something like that there. So we're just gonna tack that in and then do the other side, and that ought to stiffen this corner up real good and solid. So there we have it so far. She's good and solid now. I gotta add a little bit more bar work yet. We gotta get the winch figured out, mounted in there. We gotta build a plate for the fair lead yet. And we'll see if there's any more bar work I wanna put in there. Probably end up putting a couple of big lights up here and here. Maybe off the side here, I'll build some brackets for it. But it's looking pretty good so far, but it's getting late at night, so I'm gonna call her quits for tonight and we'll get back at her tomorrow morning. Hang in there. All right, guys, so this morning I got to work a little bit before I did any videoing, and I bent up these little extra angle brackets. I'm gonna probably plate them with a solid metal plate. Maybe put a hole in there. I can put a light of some sort, of like a flush mount type light. Same with this side here. Then I'm gonna run another bar right across from these two. And that should be about it, other than mounting the winch, mounting the fairlead, and then probably sheeting this with a fairly thin sheet up so far. And then she'll be done. So stick around, let's see how she turns out. So here we got, this is what I'm gonna make my fairlead plate out of to mount the fairlead on it. So I made a couple of little plates here, and those plates are gonna get welded to the bumper. I'm gonna drill and tap them to 3/8, and then I'll drill it through. I've already pre-tacked these so they don't move. I'll just drill straight through, and we'll tap it with 3/8 of an inch. Consult the chart of All Knowing. We're going to look for a 3/8 tap, 3/8 by 16, and it says we can use a 5/16 drill bit or a letter size O drill bit. I have both. I think I'll opt for the 5/16 because I got more of them. If I break one, it's no big deal. So we're going to grab ourselves a 5/16 drill bit, 3/8 tap, and we're going to drill and tap this plate and then weld her on the bumper. All right, so we got her just about licked here now. I'm just adding this plate in here just so it doesn't scoop mud and dirt and snow and whatnot up in there. And that should be about it. So let's just weld this plate in real quick. Okay, so the way I designed this bumper is the fairlead plate is removable just with a few bolts, 2 here, 2 here, 2 there. And it's so that you can just take your winch, put her up inside here, bolt it down, run your wiring, and basically line her up, put the bolts in. And she bolts in. 2 bolts here, 2 bolts here, 2 bolts down here. The advantage here is if you ever needed to fix the winch or service the winch or anything like that, it's just a matter of pulling 6 bolts out, winch plate comes out, the 4 bolts, the winch comes out, and there you are. That you don't have to remove the whole bumper. I think that's a big advantage. The disadvantage makes it easier for people to steal, and that's just something the guy's gonna have to live with, I guess. Take the chance.